Here we go. Yeah. It's time to listen up because this show's about to get you right. Settle in cause you be tuning into what jiu-jitsu life. Getting to the nitty and gritty of what the game's about. What it's really like when you get paid to fight and train for bouts. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it on louder. About to drop some knowledge, yo, it's Dominguez, Shawn Fowler. About to give it to you straight, y'all, no filler. Pulling no punches, really couldn't get no realer. I'm a flow spiller, recognize that no one's illa. Keep it locked right on this episode because it's gonna be killer. Elite technique with the flows to get you hyped. I thought you knew with Shawn and Drew, the crew of a jiu-jitsu life.
Welcome to A Jiu-Jitsu Life. I'll be your host today, Shawn Fowler, along with my co-hosts, Drew Dominguez and Anton Skoro. What's up, guys?
How you doing, guys?
Well, welcome to FIVE365 Studios and Media. We are welcoming Chad the Savage George. What's going on, man? How are you?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Outstanding, bro. So, 20 years of friendship. We've known each other a super long time. We go back into the infancy of MMA way, way, way back, somewhere around like 2002, give or take, with Total Combat. And you know what? Although it says you fought for me in 2005, I swear that you fought before that with Total Combat too.
Yeah,
but I'd have to figure that out.
Well, I had more than fight in Total Combat, but there was all the underground stuff before that.
Right. So you have a detailed fight career. You've pretty much done everything. You've done MMA. You've done jiu-jitsu. You're a decorated black belt. You have fought. Didn't you even do some Muay Thai stuff there for a minute?
No, I haven't done any Muay Thai.
I thought you had done something with that. I know you went back to combat jiu-jitsu. Let me ask you this one. Going backwards doing the combat jiu-jitsu back to Pancration days, basically where you started, right? In the infancy, way back in the beginning. How did it feel to go backwards a little bit?
Well, I don't know if it's going backwards, right? Like, I think that as everything evolves, combat jiu-jitsu was just kind of like, it was almost the perfect timing to be able to try, like, because you think about this, when we first started doing this stuff, like, I'm a black belt and I feel like I'm a representative of jiu-jitsu now. But when I started fighting, I was like this crazy fighter. And I actually didn't believe I was a martial artist. So I made this evolution from a transition of a fighter to a martial artist. And now when I got towards the end of my career, I got a chance to really hone in and emphasize this idea of being a martial artist and put it together in a battle of like the newly developed skill sets that jiu-jitsu brings to the table. You know,
well, it definitely defines, you know, actual real life self-defense at the same time.
It does. And, you know, like, of course, there's certain things that I wish we could do where, you know, if we did full strikes, but I mean, if you're throwing open hand strikes properly, you're talking Bosch Rutan style, where you're using those palms. I mean, these are heavy strikes. And, you know, we had to go out there and we fought, you know, three fights in one night. And me, you know, I come from a fighting background, so it's hard for me to say, you know, a jiu-jitsu match is a fight. And like, there's a big argument where people say, oh, it's a fight because you're trying to finish each other. Well, in my opinion, if you're not punching and trying to kick each other's head off, it's hard to call it a fight. And once you add in strikes of any kind, I do believe it gets closer to a fight. So it's really cool to being able to call jiu-jitsu a fight in that realm. You know, we're literally fighting for 10 minutes trying to knock each other's heads off while we're trying to grab submissions. So I don't really know if it was going backwards. I think it was just, it's an evolution of another form of combat. And really, if you think about it, that's what martial arts is, right? It's all about evolving. And so when you get this opportunity to take that timing of it and just say, hey, this is a chance to evolve and grow and develop your skill set as a martial artist.
I like it.
So do you think your MMA career prepared you for EBI, the combat jiu-jitsu, the EBI?
Absolutely. I think, you know, I'm a wrestler by trade, right? So before I started really understanding jiu-jitsu, like, I learned how to do ground and pound. Like, that was my thing, taking people down, punch them in the mouth, and like trying to avoid jiu-jitsu. And so once I understood how jiu-jitsu works, I understood like the language of jiu-jitsu. That's one of the things that I preach about, is understanding the language of it. It's not just jiu-jitsu. You got to understand how to speak it. You got to understand how to argue it. And you got to learn how to get into like a verbal fight with somebody using this language of jiu-jitsu. So learning the language of it and then applying it with my wrestling top-heavy game and being able to strike, it just allows me to win an argument.
So going back to MMA real quick, was it hard for you to wait? Because, you know, I used to follow your career and I saw you even had a blog where you were talking about, you know, you were thinking about walking away and you finally walked away. What made you walk away from the sport?
Well, so here's the thing. So in 2015, I had thought about walking away. I took some time off. I needed some time to really develop me. I was going through a lot of injuries, and I was really upset with the sport. You know, the direction it was going, and you know, I felt like I had done enough, and I was constantly being shit on. And when I say that, and sorry for the language, but it's true. Like I was fighting for Bellator, and they told me if I did something exciting, they were going to sign me to a contract. UFC said the same thing. They were like, "Listen, you put on a good performance, we're going to bring you back in, and we're going to sign you." And then the UFC was like, "Oh, we're not signing anybody right now." Or no, I'm sorry. They said that they wanted to see somebody going for the kill. The fact that, like, my fight in Bellator, I ended up winning by a Von Flue choke. And the fight went viral for Bellator because when I had choked him out, I didn't hit him. Like, he was unconscious. And I got in an argument with the ref over the fact if he was out or not. I ended up walking away from the fight, and then they called the fight. It got millions and millions of views. And then I was like, cool, I'm going to get a signed contract with Bellator. They're going to give me a deal after this. And they were like, well, we're not signing anybody. Then UFC said it wasn't in the manner that they had wanted it. They said if I would have gone for the kill, it would have made it more exciting for them to be able to bring me on. I'm like, this defeats the whole purpose of being a martial artist.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
And so that's where I wanted to walk away. So I took some time, but honestly, when I took some time and walked away from it, it allowed me to develop myself as a real martial artist and start understanding my jiu-jitsu more. I spent 2 years really developing my jiu-jitsu daily, and my goal was to go and compete against the best guys in the world in jiu-jitsu. And that's where my passion really took over for grappling. And when I decided I wanted to keep fighting, I wanted to do it as a representative of jiu-jitsu.
You know what's interesting is that with you speaking about all of those elements, you know, and there's a lot of guys that we can look back at, and unfortunately, I feel like there's a number of the old school guys that were from the infancy that kind of got the shaft. Javi Vasquez, you know, Javi went through the injuries too, you know, early in the career. Very, very dedicated fighter and amazing, but those knee surgeries killed it. You know, it killed his whole momentum. You know, people like Justin Levens and Jeremy Williams, and we brought up some of those names, you know, rest in peace, good friends of ours. We all know them. They were good friends of ours, all of them. You know, to have all of them, you know, fall short in a career and then take their lives based on it, you know, and then, you know, just I mean, obviously there were a lot of other variables for them happening, but I'm sure that those career moves weren't the best, you know, for them mentally either with what was happening. You know what I mean? But your transition and you still doing all the things that you're doing, I've watched you turn into an amazing coach and a very dedicated coach, you know, and I think that says a lot about your evolution over the last 20 years.
I really appreciate it. You know, for me, I realized that, and that's one of the reasons why I stepped away when I did this last year for my last fight. I said, here's the deal. I'm way more passionate now as a coach than I was ever as a fighter. I was a good fighter, and I could probably still fight in the UFC today. But my passion to be able to help and guide these guys in a direction that I never had gets me out of bed every morning. Like, that's what fires me up. When I can come to the gym and I see these 17-year-olds that are training with everything together, like something that we never had coming up, trying to figure this stuff out, like, that's the stuff that motivates me. Like, I want to be a coach that I'm actually in there grinding with you. You know, I don't want to be a guy from the sidelines saying, well, I can see it from here. I need to teach this guy how to do it. I want you to be on that floor with you and say, hey, if you can't get me off of you, this hungry 21-year-old kid is going to destroy you. And I want to be there right there on the front lines with my athletes. And I think that, you know, I think it pays dividends to what they're doing now. I mean, I've got some incredibly talented up and coming kids, and I'm excited for the future of what we're building. And that's, for me, is way more exciting than anything I could have ever done for myself.
And the secondary notion of that is that, you know, me being a matchmaker for as long as I was, I put on a lot of fights over the years. And then not only that, but managing a lot of the athletes as far as their you know, their medicals and the contractual obligations and so on. I'm looking at this from a bigger perspective, or from your visual standpoint. You're so far ahead of the game because you thoroughly understand how it works. So you're able to fix these things and make sure that the kids are making the right decisions, the right choices. You're picking the right matchups whenever it comes to amateur matches, and then actually going pro. You're making sure that they're, you know, that the matchups are quality, you know what I mean, and good enough for them to evolve, and they're not just getting tin cans all the time, or, you know, you're building the momentum with the various shows. So, and you know, you have context to all of the shows, you know, King of the Cage, Gladiator Challenge, you know, what's actually left, because there's obviously not a lot of those shows left, you know. There were so many back in the day whenever we were there, but things have changed fundamentally and also business-wise over the years. So you're kind of limited to the 5 or 6 shows that are actually left, if you're lucky.
Yeah, well, I think that's where it comes into being like a good coach, right? Because what I'm making all my guys do, I said, here's the deal. If you want to be a fighter, that's what you have to do. You have to compete jiu-jitsu as much as possible. You have to do boxing fights. You have to do kickboxing fights. You have to do MMA fights. You have to do everything you can to better your realm of it as a complete fighter. You can't just be a guy that goes out there and does MMA fights as an amateur and then you want to go pro, but you've never done a jiu-jitsu tournament. How are you going to beat that black belt when you go pro? It's not going to happen. So I want to be able to give these guys an experience like that where it's like, hey, from the day you start training in this environment, we're going to teach you that if this is what you want to do, you are going to have to really encompass that lifestyle. You know, so many people, and listen, I'm preaching to the choir on this. So many people want to use that terminology. I'm a fighter. Like, oh, I fight. I'm a fighter. Because there's that context to it, right? People want to have that.
A lot of them aren't well-rounded.
No, but that's the problem, right? Because
a lot of them are very one-dimensional.
But that's because they're not actually martial artists.
Correct.
Right? So I'm trying to groom my athletes to be martial artists, not just fighters. When you are fighting, if you are just a fighter, when your career is done, you are done. But when you are a martial artist, you have so many different things to fall back on. You've expanded what you are capable of doing. You have something that you can offer, and it's because you're able to give back as a martial artist.
And these are the same conversations that I had for years with people like Wade Shipp, Shad Smith, oh my God, Rick Screeton.
I fought those names.
I know you fought him twice. Rick Chris David.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so many of the guys, even Dom, you know what I mean? Dom, I mean, my list goes on and on. Shannon Gugerty, you know, Gary Padilla, like speaking to all these guys over the years and always telling them like, man, you need to focus on the jiu-jitsu part too. Because how many of those guys didn't really do jiu-jitsu or just enough jiu-jitsu to get them by?
Yeah.
How many of those guys only wrestled just enough to get them by? And if you look at the early days of MMA, which obviously you come from that, okay? You look all the way back at that point, people like Joe Hurley, people like Vernon White, people like Ken Shamrock, all of those guys, and I say that because they were all in the same camp, but a lot of those guys were very one-dimensional.
Well, yeah, I think that's where I just think that's where the growth of MMA has evolved, because like you said, 10, 15 years ago, you could be a one-dimensional fighter and still win a belt. You were able to win a belt. I mean, no, you know, look at Tito Ortiz, look at Ken Shamrock, look at back in the early UFCs, like Gracie. I mean, they were dominant in that one martial art, and back then it was good enough. Look at Tank Abbott, you know, back then they were good enough. Nowadays, you have kids, you know, nowadays you have kids. 100% is involved. You have kids that train every martial art to get to that belt, you know. So times have evolved, and I mean the next 5-10 years it's going to be amazing to see. I
mean, look at this. I've got my training for my last camp. I had this 18-year-old kid who trains at my school. He has no experience. He's now a blue belt under me. He started when he was 16 years old, and he was one of my main training partners for this last camp. Like, I'm talking a full-on MMA camp. This 18-year-old kid who has no experience, but now he becomes my one of my main training partners. And I mean, I've got some elite guys around me, and this kid, he's just evolved that fast to be able to be like my main training partner for this camp. You know, and that just says monuments of what's capable when these guys are led in the right direction. You know, and you talk about all these old school names that haven't evolved, and it sucks because you're right. You know, if you haven't done jiu-jitsu, if you haven't spent the time on it, when your career ends, and let's be honest, it's not up to you when your career ends.
Not at all.
Like I had back surgery in 2012. You know, like many of us have career detrimental injuries that could have taken us out at any time. So if it's not up to you when your career ends, what are you going to do when it's over, right? What do you do? You're going to teach people about what you could have done? No, you have to be able to have some kind of a trade. Because you tell me one MMA person that's just MMA that is making a living teaching MMA.
Well, MMA has died too. MMA has died in a lot of ways.
That's my point. That's my point.
Exactly. You go back to what we were just talking about before we actually started recording. We were talking about when Shawn stepped away, we were talking about something to fall back on after their career is over. A lot of guys you see now aren't prepared when their career ends, like you just said.
Not even close.
It's not their choice. When it's over, it's over. But what are you gonna do now? That's the bigger question that people need to ask.
Some kids, and I can name one kid right now. He is so good. He's training with Brian Ortega. It is No-No's son. And I can't think of his name right now. Man, it's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, that kid is phenomenal, man. He's already won a couple of major fights. Very talented, but he skipped a wrestling scholarship. He skipped on college, man, to do this. And it was a fully paid wrestling scholarship, and that, unfortunately, whenever you get in a position like that, like sometimes, man, you should have wrestled for 4 years, got that degree. And actually that would have elevated your game wrestling that 4 years.
Yeah. And here's the thing, even if you're not going to use that degree, you just got a gangster education in wrestling.
Yeah. 100%. I agree.
And it's tough because it's hard to, people here, they say, okay, well, I'm all in. I have to be all in if I want to make it in this career. Yes. Here's the thing. I'm going to say you do, but your all in has to be for a purpose that's bigger than the now, right? So you got to be building for what comes next. So be all in for building what comes next, but because you don't know when what comes next happens. Right. So, but if you've given up everything, if you're living on the couch for the rest of, you have no money, zero, nothing to speak of, and you have no skill set as far as a trade for when this is over, if you blow out your ACL, MCL tomorrow, and that's it. That's it. So you got to start planning with that. And that's the scary thing about it, because so many people have agendas with coaching people, and they actually don't want to give them the right advice because it might take away from what money they're going to make off them.
Yeah,
I think it's ridiculous. Even my athletes, here's the thing. Like all my pro fighters, I take no money from them until they make a certain wage. Because for me, I'm like, that $1,000 that you're going to make in
that's your medicals. That's literally paying back your medicals on your first pro fight.
Like, I'm not going to take that from you. Like, listen, I'm going to have you teach classes at the academy. I'm going to have you do things. And if there's, we might have a minimal gym due or something like that you'll be required to pay. But I'm not going to take a coach's percentage until you're making $10,000 or more.
Yeah, I agree.
It's got to be an investment. I'm investing, my time into you guys, so it's the same thing. It's an investment. I'm not in this for, I didn't get into this originally for the money. When we were fighting in Total Combat, let's go back to what we said. When we fight in Total Combat,
200 and 200.
What, bro? I made $150 cash in an envelope. I didn't know what it was going to get paid. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I just went out to Tijuana, Mexico, got into a fight, and they paid me cash.
Hey, now I can go buy tacos on the corner of the hot dog man.
Hey, so let's talk about this coronavirus going on right now. Of course, we're all being affected. I think business owners more than others. In certain ways. What are you doing to try and keep yourself going and keep your students motivated so you don't have to, follow them what's going on?
Listen, it's tough. All of us are going through it's tough. And especially for small businesses like gyms, like what we're doing. I mean, this is all we have, right? When we're talking about, planning for a future, this is what I've been planning for since the day I started this stuff. Like, I've been wanting to build this, and I've wanted to have my gym, and we've been up and running for 6 years now. And now we're month 1.5 closed doors, no members. It's tough, man. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping moving forward. I'm doing my daily routines. I'm posting everything I can daily to keep everybody aware that, hey, look, if I'm not falling short, you shouldn't either. Like, don't wake up at 12 o'clock. Don't wake up at 2 o'clock. Get up at your normal time. Get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Start planning your day. Be more into yourself and into your scheduling than maybe you were before. Use this time to grow, because it's really important. If you think about it, we're always so go, 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 hustle, 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 especially living in Southern California. This is like that one rare opportunity that we have to slow down and work on ourselves, work on the things that we want to develop, build our own things that are inside, right? If you want to work on your health, now's the time. If you want to get closer with your family, now's the time. If you want to learn new skills, learn a language, now is the time. So I'm daily sending out messages to all my members. We're doing online classes. We're doing, I send out emails. And I think it's very important for the people that are considered the leaders of communities. You know, if you're a gym owner or even a black belt, you are a leader in a community. It's your job, whether you realize it or not, that you must be leading your community, whether you think you have the strength or ability to do it right now. It's your time to step up. And we never know the strength we have until we go out there and have to be forced to use it.
Nice. Good to hear.
So Chad, as a business owner, myself as well, you know, it's a crazy time. I mean, I think as parents and even just business owners, just human beings in general, this is probably one of the craziest times in history. I saw your post today talking about obviously the bank bailouts, things like that, you know, because we get promised this hope and, hey, there's opportunity for us to stay alive. And then, you know, big business or 500 plus come in and sweep it underneath our feet, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Bro, I was so devastated when I found out that they gave tens of millions of dollars to a $1 billion business. You know, I mean, it's insane. I'm like,
heartbreaking.
Truly. So for you, I mean, right now you're a leader of men. I mean, as a coach, as an owner of a gym, as a business owner, as a contributing member of your community. Talk to me about just waking up and staying positive in a time like this.
Well, I realize that we have two choices, right? We can react or we can act, right? And so those are our two choices that we have. So I can either sit here and I can react negatively to all the things that are going on around us, or I can take action. And that's what I do. So every day, like, we have no money coming in. This is a scary, scary time, right? Like, we have lost 60% of our members already. I'm sure, like most gyms, I have friends that are at 100% rate right now. And as the longer this goes, I know it's going to go from 60 to 70 to 80, and that's terrifying. So I have two choices.
Right now, the one positive thing that we have, supposedly, is that May 1, the gyms will begin to open up.
But what does that mean, right? So
what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So
people are still going to be too scared to show up.
I look at it this way. What's that?
I said my concern is how many people are going to be too scared to show up.
I don't think a lot of people are going to be too scared to show up, man. People are dying at the bit right now to be in the gym. And I think,
sorry, Shawn,
for a week, but then they're going to be in the gym.
Sorry to cut you off. You know, here's the funniest thing about jiu-jitsu gyms, right? And I understand there's probably going to be some kind of stipulation on it. But, you know, for us, we're like, wait, you have COVID, but you don't have staff, right? Like, I'll deal with I'll deal with the COVID. You know what I mean? Like, I'll deal with that. Like, staff ringworm, stay away from me. But the other things, like, I think we're going to be okay. But going back to what you're saying, for me, it's a daily battle, right? Like, I got to keep myself motivated. I got to keep my staff. I'm still paying my staff, right? Like, so I'm doing everything that I can. And so I'm having them do daily classes. We're doing online stuff. And is it the same stuff that we are doing? No. Do we have the income coming in? No. But we still got to keep moving forward. And that's what this is an important time to realize, that we are in a fight right now.
Worse than that is those SBA grants. We're not going to see any of it. They've already said it's all gone. We're screwed.
Well, they just released that new bill today that's supposed to be like $540 billion. But again, I mean, there's no stipulation. Here's the thing. They haven't released the text on it yet. But what I did hear that, and if anybody hears otherwise, like, please correct me, but that there's still no stipulation in there for the big businesses to say that they can't come in there and swipe that money up again.
There's a loophole that these big businesses, with all their attorneys and money that they have to research that, and there's always a loophole that they're going to find, so they can't get paid. You know, it just leaves everybody else.
I did a post the other day, and I got a crazy amount of feedback on it, and I was waiting for a ton of hate. I was like, all right, guys, bring it on. Bring the hate on this, because I really don't post too much like political stuff. I try to stay away from that. You know, I'm a very mindset, like, forward-driven person. I don't like getting in the negative. So I did a post I did a post about like the loans that came out, and I personally am boycotting all these businesses that took out these loans. I'll never go to a Ruth's Chris again. I'll never go to a Shake Shack again. And here's the thing, and then people wanted to are arguing about Shake Shack because they gave the money back. I'm like, listen, guys, that's a PR stunt by their company to say, hey, like we were in the wrong. And regardless, you knew what you were filing for when you've got that 70-year-old man. I'm going to use this as an example. When you've got a 70-year-old guy who lives in the community that's been making shoes for the community with his wife for 50 years, that is a small business he's gonna be shut down. He's gonna close doors. And he can't get the unemployment because he's self-employed. But yet Ruth Chris is gonna get $20 million.
30.
30.
And Shake Shack 10. So there's already 40 million of it gone. And you know what's funny about what you just said? No lie. I swear to God, at the Imperial Beach gym, at my Imperial Beach location, Drew's wife owns a salon there. Yeah. There is a shoe guy there that is he already said, I'm going to be out of business. He's been doing it for 40 years.
You see, so I use that as an example, but look, but the point is that is the case. That is the story, right? But yet they're going to say, oh, we're sorry. We're going to give the $10 million back. Hold on. Do you realize how even a tenth of that, a fraction of that, would help so many real small businesses?
Me and Drew were looking at it earlier. 1,000 businesses for 10 grand, okay? 1,000 businesses would have got 10 grand each as a grant.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but 1,000 businesses at 10K is a lot of money, man.
Hey, $10,000 to my academy will keep us moving, and I can keep paying my staff, and I can keep these classes going until this thing goes on.
I agree.
Brother, I've got 19 employees. 19.
Oh, man.
My average payroll every 2 weeks is 40,000 plus. We only got approved for 176,000 for the 2.5 months. Not saying only, I mean, that's a good amount of money. But I'm like, we're going to burn through that in no time. And I've done everything in my power to not dock my guys 1 hour. But it's scary because, like you said, my guys can go file for unemployment. Me as a business owner, if I drain my accounts, I got 6 kids looking at me like, Dad, your left leg is getting 8.
Hey, and here's the thing, and everyone's talking about, oh, well, at least we're going to get that $1,200 stimulus check. Come on.
Who's paying that shit back? Pardon my wording. Who's paying that back?
Right, but
next year taxes.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. It's coming out of taxes. That's what they're saying. But I mean, here's the thing. I didn't get anything. My wife got something, which is great. It's better than nothing. But I, as a business owner, I've gotten none of the grants, none of the reliefs, none of the stimuluses, and so it's almost comical. So now I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm not gonna wait for these handouts, and this is part of what motivates me too. I'm not waiting for the handouts. I'm going to start creating. I'm going to use this time to build, and that's why I'm so motivated, because I see so many people waiting. Nothing's going to come to you when you wait. You have to go get it. And that's just the fight mentality, right? You got to go after it.
I told my wife the most beautiful part that's going to come out of this, and I hope nobody takes offense when I say
you
this.
You mean another baby? Sorry, another baby?
No more babies for me. I'm fixed.
Oh, okay.
But 6 was enough for me, bro. I tapped after that. I can't even count them on one hand. You know what I mean? I'd have to be a freak. But the one thing I thought that was going to be beautiful about this is like the go-getters, the real go-getters, like you're saying, Chad, the people who are fighters and refuse to lay down. Those people are going to come out of this as new millionaires because there's going to be so many people that shut down. Like right now, gyms are shut down, and instead of just being like, hey, I'm going to leave the doors closed and not do anything, you're creating content for people all over the U.S. to come to you and say, what do you want to charge a month for me to get access to this so I can do it in my house and at least lose some of the weight before the gym comes back? Yeah. So I think the beautiful part is like this is going to create a new group of millionaires that, it's the new age. It's our opportunity as 35 and 40-year-old men, 45-year-old men to really jump out there and join the ranks of these guys that have been in the game a lot longer.
I think this is a real time. This is a real opportunity if you look for it. Like, do I know what the exact opportunity is? No. Am I trying tons of different things? Yes. Like if one of them takes off, fantastic. But right now, my main goal is just to keep people motivated. And I'm trying to keep people connected through jiu-jitsu, which is funny because when I started this journey, jiu-jitsu had no connection to me whatsoever. In fact, I wanted to be away. I didn't want to be associated with it. I was like, I'm a fighter. I will beat a jiu-jitsu guy's ass. They're like a karate guy that runs around in suits. And you know what I mean? Like, that was my mentality then. And so now all of a sudden, that's what I want to give people to keep us together. And I think jiu-jitsu is something that I'm sure we all can attest to this. Jiu-jitsu truly does save people's lives, and now it's giving us a chance to bring lives together.
I agree with that all the way.
Backs. Awesome. Very good. So let's before we end this, man, let's talk about a couple things you're doing to help your community, help your working DVD series. Can you tell us the name of the DVD, where to find it, what's going to be in it?
Yeah. So
right now, know about that.
Right now, while we're using this downtime, we're filming tons of video footage. I'm putting tons of techniques on the CMMA Fitness YouTube channel. But what I'm also doing is, it's no secret in the grappling world and fight world that I love to choke people. And I've got a pretty good headlock strangle system that I've been fortunate enough that I've traveled around the world and I've taught seminars for the system. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating a complete DVD series for it, learning how to perfect the strangle from absolutely every position that you could possibly think of. And that's what the system is going to be called. It's mastering the headlock strangle. And it's going to be covering darces, guillotines, anacondas, and Peruvian neckties from every single position in the game.
And when can we see that out?
Well, we're still developing it. So like we're finishing up the shooting for it this weekend. I'm sure it's going to take some time to edit, but we're going to get this whole thing together. And I honestly, I can't wait to launch this thing because it's got concept breakdowns that I've been working on as long as I've known Shawn. And it's really years and years of development that I'm excited just to say, hey, you know what? This is for everybody. Like, let's go choke the world.
I agree.
I like that.
We had a brief discussion prior to this, but let you and I sit down and talk about this after. I want to help you with that DVD stuff. I think it's super
awesome.
You know, I think it's super important and beneficial. And the thing is like, the truth of the matter is that our relationships that we've maintained for so long are so important and so beneficial to everything that we continue to do going forward. Many people have come and gone. Obviously, we know we can name lots of people that have come and gone, but there's a few of us that have weathered the storm and we've been here all these years. So the fact that we've been here all these years, it's super imperative that those relationships still maintain and we always continue to help each other grow. Because if we don't continue to help each other grow, I mean, I know that you get messages from me every now and then asking you, hey man, what's going on with you? How are you feeling? How's everything going? Is everything good with you? Oh, we lost him.
Oh, give him a few minutes to log back in. Why did you save that mustache, Anton?
You know, I thought it was time.
Remember, you guys are recording.
No, I know. I mean, we're not going to you're not going to edit that out, are you? There's no one on the screen. Is my screen full? Is that going to full screen?
No, because you're on a telephone.
It looks full on my end.
Yeah,
well, of course
you're on
it
a
does.
telephone. Why do you think we said you were fired when you're in the middle of the conversation in your login?
Oh, here he's back.
That was weird. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
You're good. You're good.
All right, cool.
I think you have to hit that video button. Chat.
My beard's changed colors 3 times tonight.
It says on video. Left. Can you see me? Yeah, it says I'm on video.
No, down on the very bottom left of your screen, it'll have a video button. All you got to do is it'll say stop video or start video. Right now, it says stop.
Weird. Hold on.
There you go.
Oh, yep.
Coming up.
There you go. You're back.
Okay. So as I was saying, you know, the 20 years of relationships and friendships, it's our job to continue to nurture and maintain those. And obviously, because we've evolved all these years together, to continue evolving. He's frozen again.
He's frozen.
Yeah, I mean, like, hold on, guys. Hold on. Is this better?
No, but you still have that smile.
It's a good smile, though. I wish I had a smile like that.
You do.
No, I don't got one like that, bro.
Yeah, you do.
The only thing about your smile, it's perfect. You just dental floss with a rope.
Battle ropes have two purposes.
That's okay. It's no worse than this one.
No, it's worse. It's worse. Thanks for trying to make me feel better, though. I like you, Shawn. You're a good guy.
Hey, Chad, can you hear us? No, he can't.
Nope. I was say if he can hear us and he's not laughing, he's just sick.
He's just not moving. He's just not moving.
It almost looks like he's wearing somebody else's face.
I have
His
a black
eyes are
screen
really-
from him now. He's not even there.
Oh, yeah, he's still there for me.
Yeah, he's there for me too. Uh-oh.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. We're running into some technical difficulty with Chad, so we're going to go ahead and close this out for today. For today's episode or any of our episodes, check us out at fivegrappling.com, and you can also check us out on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and also Spotify. Keyword, a Jiu-Jitsu Life. With that, we are out of here tonight. Anton, you got anything left?
I don't. Everybody have a good week. Stay safe. Wash those hands.
Drew.
Good night. Oh, good night, everybody.
All right. And tomorrow, we would like to thank our sponsors, Five Grappling, 5365 Media, Five Forward Foundation, Five Superfoods and Shaved Ice Company, Hono BJJ, and the Fuji Mat Company. Without you, we are nothing. For this episode or any of our episodes, check us out at fivegrappling.com or follow us on social media at Five Grappling. If you're watching this video on YouTube or listening via podcast, don't forget to click the subscribe button below. Thank you for your support. Five Grappling. Compete, evolve. Real people, real stories, real life. Five brand.